Villains are the shoes of anime. Shoes are required for almost everything in your daily life. They dictate and say a lot about you too. Your shoes can look amazing and boost your average regular Joe look to superstar level. But they can also look horrible, and no matter what you're wearing, it won't matter because no one can look away at those shoes. And you really thought that those shoes that you tried on at the Nike outlet were truly clean, but then you realized that a camo Nike Carhartt collab was the furthest thing from cool in a high school space. And every chance someone got, they remind you to never bring those shoes to school ever again. But you had too much pride in your decision to purchase those shoes at the beginning of the year, so you decided to thug it out for the rest of the year, and that might have gotten a little too personal. Okay, fuck the analogies. Villains. They can be such complicated characters, especially in the genres of shonen and seinen, but at the same time, they always get the short end of the stick. Sometimes they can be misunderstood or just blatantly ignored, but almost all the time, villains will never end their story in the spotlight. And I mean, obviously, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, imagine if Naruto ended at Pain or if One Piece ended at Lucci. One, the show would suck for ending so early, but more importantly, these are shows that are central around their protagonists. I mean, Naruto is literally just a self-titled anime for a main character. So yeah, I'm not so slow to think that protagonists shouldn't be protagonists. But I do enjoy when a show is able to expand on the villain side a little bit more. It shows that these mangaka truly care for the world they're trying to build. That's why I love villains like Pain, Aizen, Father. They're much more detailed and have clear morals and aren't just chalky fillers that are there as training regimes for your favorite protagonists. Now, I'm gonna be for real. I really just want to talk about Ranger Reject and got kind of sidetracked on the topic of villains. Ranger Reject is exactly what I was talking about, but to the extreme, meaning that the roles are reversed. The antagonist is portrayed as the protagonist, and vice versa. Fighter D is a lowly foot soldier who's lived his entire life following orders, having no will or identity of his own but to do as told by his executives. And eventually he questions what he's doing. Like a 4-year-old gaining consciousness, Fighter D ends up yearning for more. But instead, it's embodied as a deep hatred for the protagonist of the show that have subjected him to this purgatory, the Rangers. Now, listen, I've read the manga. God, I sound like such a nerd. I have such high expectations for this anime, so some of my criticisms may seem a little nitpicky. And for the most part, I honestly think they're doing a great job at marketing and building a fan base for the show, but at the same time, there are a few things I need to get off my chest. First, the pacing. Currently, the anime is on its 5th episode, and Fighter D just found another foot soldier in Hibiki's room. Well, in the manga, this happened on chapter 16. That's about 3.2 chapters per episode that are being adapted. Now, honestly, that's not the worst in terms of pacing, but it still feels a little rushed, and I can see it being a deterrent to new viewers who aren't able to build close enough bonds with a lot of the characters. At the same time, I also understand that this part of the series isn't the most action-packed, so maybe they're trying to rush to the better parts of the series and then slow down the pacing once they get to those parts. And if that's the case, I'm not mad at all. Second, animation. I'm so conflicted on animation because it uses a combination of 2D and CGI, and honestly does an amazing job of transitioning between the two and not making it feel like a cheap budget cut, and instead it feels like a purposeful artistic design. But that's all there is to it. There's nothing special that I've seen within the animation that really impresses me. It honestly just feels maybe a little above average. They've had a few flashy scenes, but it still doesn't feel like something that will blow my mind. And maybe this goes back on my other point on how they're just waiting until they get into the actual meat of the show, but I just hope it's not too late by then, because if I had zero context bias, the only thing that would keep me watching this show is the potential of the plot. Or maybe I'm just suffering from the Mappa effect. Also, is it just me, or are some of the manga scenes just not giving the same impact? Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched it yet. Like the scene where Red Keeper kills Junior First Class Ranger. In the manga, that shit hits. It was like, whoa. And made me realize that this manga wasn't just all friends and games. But in the anime, I just didn't feel like they sold it. Maybe it's just the fact that the manga can just skip to a panel of straight blood splatter on the wall and it gives a stronger effect. But the same goes for the executives killing Hibiki's family and everyone in that room. The bodies piled on top of each other, giving it this very dark aspect to his backstory in the manga. But the anime just didn't do it justice. Like, there's zero aura. Third, that dumbass circus soundtrack that they fucking spam during every single fucking mood. When I first heard this soundtrack, I thought it was unique and honestly matched the mood perfectly. It was a cool, fun, small, extra detail that added character to the series. But after the 12th time of hearing this soundtrack overused every time, and made it feel like they cheaped out on the soundtrack budget. But I know that's not true, because both the opening and endings are by two amazing artists. So yeah, I don't know, just stop using that soundtrack for heaven's sake. And yet, while the anime is lacking in all of these departments, at the end of the day, I still think they're doing an amazing job adapting the show. The story hasn't changed from the manga canon yet, and it's just as good as I thought it would be in anime form. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch Ranger Reject. And if you really like the concept, read the manga. I swear it will disappoint. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you made it to the end of the video, closing in on 500 subscribers. And leave a comment on how you feel the adaptation is doing so far. With that, peace out.